Good morning, my name is Gilbert Bates and this video today is going to be about the basics of suicide. Now I've been struggling in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've been wanting to make some videos on suicide, but there's a lot of information that I've gathered over the 25 years that I've been struggling with my own suicidal thoughts and views. So today I thought that I would just go with the basics of suicide, try and explain that, and then in future videos come into a more nuanced view or a deeper understanding of what goes on, and even perhaps help you deal with your own suicidal feelings, what you can do personally and what you can do by talking to other people. So one of the best ways of looking at suicide is to understand the brain in its 3 modules. This is the intellectual module, in the prefrontal cortex. That has a certain way of operating. The next module down is our feeling module, the green module here, and the one on the board behind me. That's a feeling, and it feels our life. It doesn't think about life like the blue module. This is where the feelings are made. Now, what people don't really understand about feelings is that they begin in this part of the brain, in this sensation model. How we view life and the experiences that we have in life form a very strong resonance in this part of the brain. And what we program into this part of the brain early in life decides whether we're going to have a happy life or whether we're going to have a real bad life and want to commit suicide because we're having such a bad time. So that's the 3 levels up. And just keep in mind that when I talk about suicide, I know it's a very important subject, but I'm not talking about it from an orthodox medical point of view. I'm talking about it from 20 years of lived experience and from the view of the 3 levels, from the primal therapy 3 levels up paradigm, which gives you a totally different outlook on what suicide is and what we can do about it. So every suicidal person I have met has suffered a severe childhood trauma. So that's a very important thing. I don't think that's discussed anywhere. All the suicidal people I've met, including myself, it's from not being loved as a child. It was imprinted in my brain in the early years of life, and then we don't get to experience the real trauma until something goes wrong with our life. That's what happened to me. I sort of hung around till I was about 46, and then something went wrong, and then all this trauma surfaced that was hidden here, and then I had to deal with it. Either that or commit suicide. So I decided that I'd try and deal with that. So that's an important thing that's not discussed as far as I know, in that suicide actually begins in the sensation level of mind through printing in the earliest years of our life. The other thing about suicide is that I have found out that most people don't really want to die. It's a matter of, I don't want to live in this realm. This realm is too painful. I don't know what else to do, so best that I kill myself. Best that I don't stay in this state of mind. It's too painful. And so that's what we don't understand. When people suicide, everybody says, "Oh, I don't know why he suicided. He had everything to live for." But suicide, especially for me, and I guess for others as well, comes from our early imprinting. We don't want to die, we just don't want to live in this realm. So then we've got to ask ourselves, well, what are we doing wrong with our parenting? What's wrong with the human species that so many people are committing suicide? What are we doing to our children to imprint all this trauma into their brains? We need to address that. It's the simple basics of suicide. Don't put trauma in the brain in the first years of life. That's what we need to address. So one of the things with suicide is that we can carry it, we repress it down, we repress it down by our intellectual mind to stop us feeling that trauma. Then when something happens in our life, in the intellectual part of our lives, it reverberates down into the brainstem area or into this area, and then it becomes something that we can't control. We can control it to a certain extent at the intellectual level, but when you get triggered, like I did, I got triggered when I was 26 years old, 27 years old, nearly committed suicide then, but I didn't. I just squashed it all down and got on with life. And then at age 46, another trigger came along that went from my intellectual mind down through my feelings and into this level where it connected to my past trauma, and then the trauma came up in such a strong fashion that I couldn't control it. So then it was a battle between my wanting to live and part of my brain wanting me to live, and the other part of my brain, this part of my brain telling me that life is shit and you might as well die. So that's what I had to battle with, and that I believe that's what every suicidal patient is battling with. I hope that knowledge will help some people. This is what you're up against. You can keep this suppressed only for so long. You either struggle with it, you struggle with it with depression, anxiety, all that stuff is imprinted there. And then when it becomes too much to handle, you just want to die. But there are options that we can do to treat this. And so as a human species, we need to understand the basics of suicide so that we can do something about it. So I'll follow up in future. I will follow up in future episodes about what we can do about suicide. Hopefully, talking about it and then understanding it more, we can do something about it. But my main reason for doing this is to help people to understand what's actually going on in their brain. When I was going through my suicidal problems, I had nobody to talk to about it. I didn't understand what was going on, and other people didn't understand what was going on. I even went to a psychiatrist, and he couldn't tell me what was going on. That was one of the hard parts about it. If I knew what was going on, I think it would have been easier to handle. So that's what I'm trying to do with this particular video, is just to explain to people what is going on. It may not help you much, but I hope it helps you a little bit. Thank you.